I'm not here because this was my choice. You very kindly asked me to become patron of your organizations.
Princess Anne is known for her calm strength, but reports of her explosive confrontation with Camilla have stunned royal watchers everywhere. The dispute centered on Prince William's future coronation and Anne's firm warning that crossed a serious line. What pushed Anne to speak so strongly, and how did Camilla respond to this challenge? Join us as we reveal the story. Anne's long-building tension with Camilla. This conflict within the British royal family did not appear suddenly. Behind the elegant image of Buckingham Palace, a quiet tension had been growing for many years. It slowly developed beneath the polished surface of royal life, becoming stronger and more serious with time. What has now come into view feels less like a sudden disagreement, and more like the natural result of a long and unresolved conflict. Princess Anne's discomfort with Camilla was never loud or dramatic. Instead, it remained steady, controlled, and deeply rooted in her long-held beliefs about the monarchy. Over the years, this feeling quietly shaped how she interacted with Camilla. Now that the tension has surfaced more clearly, many within the palace are asking an important question. Why has this moment arrived now? And what past events finally led Anne to respond? Princess Anne has always held a unique place inside the royal family. She is widely respected for her dedication and for the strong sense of duty she brings to her role. Many people see her as one of the most dependable members of the monarchy. Discipline, tradition, and responsibility have guided her entire life of service. Unlike other royal figures who attract public attention, Anne built her reputation through steady work rather than media focus. She rarely seeks the spotlight and prefers to carry out her responsibilities quietly. However, when she chooses to take action, people pay attention. Her calm presence often hides a very sharp mind and a clear understanding of the values she believes the monarchy must protect. For Anne, those values have always centered on duty, respect for tradition, and a strong sense of hierarchy. She believes the crown should represent years of commitment and sacrifice. These beliefs have strongly shaped her view of Camilla for decades. From the very beginning, Anne's relationship with Camilla remained distant and carefully managed. When Charles and Camilla publicly renewed their relationship and eventually married, Anne did not openly oppose the situation. However, she also did not show visible warmth toward it. As Camilla's role gradually expanded and she later became Queen Consort, Anne continued to maintain a reserved distance. Other members of the royal family made visible efforts to show unity and public support. Anne, however, remained composed and neutral. There were no clear gestures of closeness, no shared projects, and no signs of a personal bond between the two women. To outside observers, this behavior may have seemed like simple indifference. In reality, it reflected a much deeper difference in perspective. Anne's attitude was not driven by jealousy or personal dislike. Instead, it came from her firm belief in how royal authority should be earned. She has always valued service above popularity. In her view, the monarchy must remain grounded in tradition rather than shaped by changing public image. Because of this, Camilla's rise within the royal structure did not fully align with Anne's understanding of how authority should develop inside the institution. Camilla's journey to becoming Queen Consort involved many stages, including marriage to Charles, shifts in public perception, and careful rebuilding of her image in the media. While this process improved her standing with the public, Anne reportedly felt that such changes were based more on presentation than on the long years of royal service that she believed should define leadership within the monarchy. At one point, a palace insider described a moment that revealed Anne's thinking. During a private conversation at Balmoral, Anne reportedly made a remark that reflected her view about royal responsibility. The statement suggested that some individuals carry the crown because of duty, while others wear it more as a symbol of display. Although Camilla was not directly mentioned, the meaning behind the comment was widely understood. The tension grew stronger after Charles became king. As Queen Consort, Camilla's role expanded, and she began to take a more active position within royal life. She appeared more confident and increasingly involved in official matters. This included stronger participation in ceremonial decisions, greater engagement in state events, and a more visible presence in shaping how her role functioned within royal traditions. To Anne, this growing influence appeared to move beyond what she believed the position should involve. She viewed some of these actions as stepping into areas that traditionally required careful boundaries. Behind closed palace doors, disagreements reportedly surfaced during at least 2 important state occasions. At one event, Anne stepped in when Camilla attempted to lead part of the ceremonial proceedings. On another occasion, during a diplomatic reception, Anne reportedly redirected a discussion that Camilla had begun with a visiting foreign envoy. These moments were not described as personal rivalry. Instead, they reflected Anne's focus on maintaining clear roles and preserving established protocol. For her, the issue was about structure and authority within the royal system. Over time, Anne also began sharing her concerns privately with Prince William. She expressed worry that Camilla's growing confidence and influence could disturb the delicate balance that holds the monarchy together. Anne viewed the matter as institutional rather than personal. Her concerns centered on the possibility that the line between symbolic support and real authority might become unclear. If those boundaries blurred, she feared it could create confusion about leadership within the monarchy and potentially affect its stability in the future. These private discussions are now believed to have played a role in certain decisions during the early planning stages of the coronation. Reports suggest that Camilla was excluded from some parts of the planning process. Anne's involvement in these decisions appeared careful and deliberate. Her approach was not based on open confrontation. Instead, it reflected quiet strategy. Anne positioned herself as a protector of the monarchy's structure, focusing on what she believed would preserve the institution for future generations. As Prince William prepared to take on greater responsibility in the royal family, the situation became even more significant. The monarchy was already facing increasing public scrutiny and internal pressure. In that environment, Anne chose to act through subtle resistance rather than direct conflict. Her actions were measured and precise. She aimed to maintain balance within the royal system, while protecting the traditions she believes are essential to its survival. However, the situation may already have moved into a more serious stage. Only a few weeks ago, reports described a confidential meeting between William and Camilla that became tense. The discussion appeared to deepen the existing divide rather than resolve it. Rising tension behind palace walls. Tensions within the royal family had been quietly building for many months, but very few people expected them to rise so suddenly and so clearly. From the outside, everything appeared calm and carefully controlled. Public events were filled with polished appearances, warm smiles, and formal ceremonies that gave the impression of unity. Yet, behind that elegant image, the relationship between William and Camilla had slowly become more strained. At first, the tension seemed small and easy to ignore. However, over time it began to grow into something more serious. Their differences were no longer limited to personal opinions or family matters. Instead, the situation began to touch deeper issues involving authority, royal protocol, and the direction the monarchy might take in the future. The moment when everything finally came to the surface occurred during a private meeting at Clarence's house. The meeting had been arranged with a simple purpose. It was meant to clarify boundaries and ensure that everyone understood their roles as preparations for the future moved forward. What was supposed to be a calm and practical conversation soon turned into a quiet but powerful clash of perspectives. William is widely known for his careful and measured manner in public. He rarely allows strong emotions to show during official appearances. However, during this private discussion, he spoke with unusual firmness. Behind closed doors, he expressed concerns that had been forming for some time. He had noticed that Camilla had gradually begun stepping into roles and spaces that were traditionally reserved for the reigning monarch. She had been present in ceremonial moments and discussions that William believed should belong to him as the future king. In earlier years, her presence had been accepted without much attention. Over time, however, William began to feel that it had become intrusive. To him, the matter was no longer a simple family disagreement. It had become something much larger. In his view, the situation had the potential to affect how the monarchy itself would be structured in the future. During the meeting, William spoke calmly but very clearly. With preparations for a future coronation beginning to take shape, he explained that he needed the freedom to define his own reign. He wanted the ability to shape his leadership without the influence of earlier roles or past arrangements. He asked Camilla to step back from several key preparatory meetings. These included discussions that focused on symbolic and ceremonial decisions connected to the future of the crown. His request was not presented as an attack or criticism. Instead, he explained it as a need for space. He wanted the opportunity to shape a monarchy that would reflect his own leadership. Camilla's response did not follow the path William might have expected. According to people familiar with the moment, she reacted with a calm expression that carried both amusement and sharpness. Her reply suggested that the issues William raised were only matters of symbolic tradition. Her words carried more weight than they first appeared to. The response seemed to challenge the seriousness of William's concerns. It also suggested a refusal to accept that the crown he would one day inherit was no longer something she could influence in the same way. William answered with a level of sharpness that was unusual for him. He made it clear that the crown was not hers to shape. After that moment, the room fell silent. There were no raised voices or dramatic reactions. Instead, a quiet pause filled the space, heavy with tension that remained unspoken. Camilla soon left the room quietly. The exchange itself was brief, but the impact was immediate and lasting. The conversation marked a clear turning point. The following day, William arranged a private meeting with Princess Anne. The discussion with Camilla had clarified his thinking. What had once seemed like a personal disagreement now felt like something far more significant. It had become a matter involving authority, public perception, and the long-term legacy of the monarchy. To understand the depth of the strain between them, it is important to look at their long and complicated history. One issue that has often been mentioned in quiet conversations involves Camilla's alleged influence during William and Kate's breakup in 2007. Some reports have suggested that she questioned whether Kate was fully prepared for royal life because she did not come from an aristocratic background. Although nothing about that situation was ever officially confirmed, the episode became an early sign that Camilla's views could sometimes conflict with William's instincts, even in matters that were deeply personal to him. Another layer of tension developed as William's responsibilities within the monarchy continued to grow. As he took on a greater role in royal duties, some sources indicated that Camilla had concerns about how quickly his influence was expanding. There were suggestions that she believed the balance of power inside the royal family needed to remain carefully managed. According to these reports, she encouraged King Charles to slow the pace of William's rising authority. In doing so, she appeared to place herself in the position of protecting long-standing traditions, while William continued to promote his own vision for the monarchy's future. There was also an emotional distance shaped by their complicated family roles. Camilla held the position of step-grandmother to William's children, yet William maintained a careful boundary between her and the daily lives of George, Charlotte, and Louis. This approach created a quiet but firm line that separated family relationships from the structure of royal influence. Shift of power behind palace doors. With the full support of Princess Anne, a calm yet firm decision was made inside the palace. Camilla would no longer be included in further planning for the coronation. However, this decision was not shared with her immediately. Instead, the changes were carried out quietly and carefully. Agendas were adjusted, guest lists were revised, and important meetings continued without her presence. The palace, known for its strict and unspoken rules, adapted quickly and smoothly. This was not an act of open rebellion. It was a careful realignment of influence and authority. Prince William had drawn a clear line, and Princess Anne had strengthened it. Camilla was completely unprepared for this move. When she finally discovered that she had been excluded, her reaction was immediate and intense. Reports say she became extremely upset and shouted that she was the queen inside Clarence's house. Her anger was not only about wounded pride. It was also about power, legacy, and the growing fear that she was slowly being pushed aside. The truth reached her by accident rather than through an official message. A small note on a staff calendar mentioned a coronation planning meeting at Kensington Palace. Her name was missing from the list. At first, her team believed it was simply a mistake. However, the silence from William's circle made the situation clear. The exclusion had been intentional. Concern quickly spread among her advisors. They encouraged calm reactions and careful handling of the situation. Still, diplomacy was not enough to hold back Camilla's frustration. This situation was far more serious than missing one meeting. It was a strong signal that her influence in key decisions was fading. Reports say she soon confronted the situation directly by entering a private room where King Charles was reviewing state briefings. She expressed her distress over how she was being treated. Charles found himself in a difficult position, torn between his role as a husband and his responsibilities as monarch. He did not step in to challenge the decision. His silence carried a clear message. At that moment, Camilla realized that the loyalty within Clarence's house was beginning to shift toward William. The understanding was painful. For many years, she had carefully built her influence by combining public warmth with quiet strategy. Now, the environment around her had changed. The support she once relied on was no longer guaranteed. Even so, stepping back was not an option. Behind closed doors, she began organizing her team. What began as simple damage control slowly turned into a plan to restore her presence. Discussions included possible interviews, subtle information leaks, and carefully planned public appearances. Each move was designed to rebuild her relevance without openly exposing the divisions within the palace. Despite these efforts, the reality remained clear. William's coronation planning continued without her involvement. The circle of decision-makers had already formed. Alliances were strong, key choices were made, and the direction of the event was moving forward without her participation. During this time, Catherine, Princess of Wales, quietly stepped into a role that Camilla had once occupied. She did not seek attention or recognition. Instead, she gained influence through steady and thoughtful contributions. Her ideas helped shape the tone and spirit of the coronation plans. She supported the inclusion of young voices in the procession and encouraged a meaningful tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, while also presenting a hopeful vision for the future. Palace staff described her approach as thoughtful and balanced. She worked closely with William, and the partnership between them was clear. His leadership projected strength, while her calm presence added stability. Their teamwork created a sense of confidence among those involved in the planning. Unlike Camilla, whose public visibility had sometimes attracted criticism, Catherine built her influence quietly and steadily. People noticed this difference. Public support grew not because of royal titles or family background, but because of the authenticity she displayed. Catherine gradually became a symbol of trust within the monarchy. She showed that duty could exist alongside warmth and that elegance could remain connected to everyday people. She never tried to replace anyone. Instead, she naturally represented the future direction of the royal family while continuing to respect its traditions. These quiet developments behind palace walls revealed an important truth. The future queen was not waiting for a crown to begin her role. Through her actions, she was already living it. At the same time, Camilla's struggle was far from over. As Catherine's influence continued to grow, Camilla's removal from key decisions pushed palace tensions closer to a breaking point. The question now centered on King Charles. Would he quietly step in to heal the growing divide, or would he allow the separation between these powerful figures to deepen further while he carefully maintained his balance between both sides? Royal decision that changed the balance. In a quiet corner of Windsor, King Charles III called Princess Anne for a private meeting that insiders described as tense, quiet, and deeply personal. The discussion began politely, with calm words and careful manners. Yet, beneath that calm surface, there was a heavy sense of importance. The meeting carried serious meaning for the future of the royal family. Charles arrived at the conversation under growing pressure from Queen Camilla. His goal was very clear. He wanted to regain control of a situation that had quietly taken shape behind palace doors. Princess Anne had already made a firm and decisive decision to exclude Camilla from the planning of the future coronation of Prince William. It had been done quietly, but its impact was powerful. To Camilla, this decision felt deeply unfair. She saw it as a painful and unforgivable slight. For Charles, the matter created another kind of worry. He feared that it could damage the delicate web of loyalty that held the royal family together. Maintaining that balance had always required patience and careful handling. Princess Anne, however, did not come to Windsor with any intention of changing her position. She arrived with the same steady sense of duty that had defined her role for many years. Her focus remained clear and unwavering. In her eyes, her responsibility was to protect the stability and future of the crown. Charles spoke not only as a king, but also as a husband. He explained that Camilla had worked hard and had earned her place within the royal structure. His words carried both sadness and determination as he asked for Anne's understanding and support. Anne listened, but her response remained firm and direct. She calmly reminded him that the future of the monarchy rested on Prince William. That simple statement ended the discussion. It made clear that the royal institution must always place succession before personal feelings. The monarchy, in her view, must endure beyond individual loyalties. For Charles, this realization was difficult. Camilla, who had once brought comfort and partnership, had now become a point of division within his own family. A long silence followed the exchange. It was the kind of silence that spoke more loudly than any argument. Princess Anne remained steady and unyielding. Her position did not soften, and she offered no apology for it. When the meeting finally ended, she left with a brief nod. There was no room left for negotiation or compromise. The quiet image of harmony that the palace often projected had suddenly begun to crack. Soon after, a carefully written palace statement appeared through official channels. The message looked calm and polished on the surface. However, the details it left out spoke very loudly. The statement referred only to continued coordination among senior members of the royal family in support of the Prince of Wales. It avoided names, explanations, and specific details. Most noticeably, it made no reference to Queen Camilla. In royal communication, what is left unsaid often carries great meaning. Camilla's absence from the statement confirmed what many inside the palace already understood. She had been formally sidelined, and no public explanation would be offered. Inside the palace, the atmosphere quickly became tense. Staff members received clear instructions. They were told to deny knowledge of private meetings, avoid speaking with the media, and stay away from using Camilla's name in any conversation connected to coronation planning. Every step was carefully designed. The goal was to limit damage, control public perception, and maintain the appearance of unity within the royal household. Even so, the strain could not be completely hidden. Behind closed doors, quiet whispers of betrayal and frustration spread among those close to the situation. Camilla's own team was reportedly shocked by the development. They felt blindsided once again. Their reaction was filled with anger and deep embarrassment. Being excluded so openly was not just a simple oversight. It felt like being erased in full view of the institution. Within a monarchy, perception holds enormous power. Influence often depends on visibility and presence. When someone becomes invisible within that structure, their authority quickly fades. Observers outside the palace also began to notice the shift. Journalists and royal commentators raised serious questions. They wondered whether Camilla's position had become mostly symbolic. Others asked whether Prince William was quietly strengthening his authority behind the scenes. Some voices even questioned whether Princess Anne's influence had grown so strong that it now shaped the very language used by the crown itself. Speculation spread rapidly, reaching audiences far beyond Britain. People around the world began watching closely. What had once seemed like distant royal protocol now appeared to be a subtle but powerful struggle over influence and direction. This situation was not a loud scandal filled with dramatic headlines. Instead, it unfolded quietly through decisions, silence, and carefully chosen words. Each statement and each missing detail carried meaning, a powerful letter that shook the palace. In a surprising development, a private letter written by Princess Anne was revealed. The letter was meant only for her brother, King Charles, and was never intended to be seen by the public. However, when its contents came to light, they struck deeply at the heart of the monarchy. The letter had been written weeks before Camilla was officially removed from William's coronation planning. During that time, Princess Anne decided to express her thoughts in writing. Known for her calm and steady approach, she rarely shows strong emotion. Yet this letter carried a tone that was far more intense than usual. It reflected deep concern and a strong sense of urgency. Anne explained that her words did not come from rivalry or resentment. Instead, they came from a powerful sense of duty to the crown. In her message, she described a monarchy that seemed to be moving away from its core foundations. She reminded Charles that tradition is not carried only by the monarch of the moment. It is a responsibility shared with future generations who will inherit the crown. She warned that without careful leadership, the institution could slowly become filled with contradictions. In such a situation, public appearances might begin to matter more than true responsibility. Although Camilla was never mentioned by name, the meaning of Anne's message was very clear. She pointed out the danger of allowing personal relationships to blur the line between private influence and public duty. Anne emphasized that public perception holds as much weight as royal protocol. If trust begins to weaken, the very spirit of the crown could be at risk. Anne also expressed her strong belief in Prince William. She described him as the last spine of tradition with vision. These words carried deep meaning. They showed her faith in her nephew, while also suggesting that the monarchy's future may depend greatly on his decisions. Her message to Charles was both firm and urgent. Anne wrote not simply as a sister, but as someone determined to protect the institution. She urged him to act with restraint for the greater good of the crown. She acknowledged that such decisions might bring personal pain, create tension in relationships, and lead to uncomfortable exclusions. Even so, she made one thing very clear. Preserving the monarchy's legacy must always come before personal comfort. Every word in the letter reflected her belief that order and duty must always stand above personal feelings. When the letter eventually leaked, it caused immediate shock. Some wondered whether the leak was a careful move from someone inside the palace, or simply a desperate mistake made by someone hoping to shape public opinion. Senior members of the royal family were not surprised by Anne's views. Many had already sensed her concerns. What truly surprised them was the timing, the careful wording, and the remarkable honesty of the message. Without the usual royal polish, her words carried a powerful impact. Suddenly, attention shifted. The discussion was no longer focused only on Camilla's removal from the coronation planning. Instead, the focus turned to the voice behind the message and the reason it had been written. Inside the palace, Princess Anne's reputation began to change quietly. She had often been underestimated because of her calm nature and quiet presence. Now she appeared in a new light, seen by many as the moral compass of the monarchy. In private, several allies supported her views, though few were able to express that support openly. The letter itself had already said everything that needed to be said. It also changed the way the situation was understood. Camilla's removal was no longer seen simply as a personal rejection. Instead, it appeared as a strategic step meant to protect clarity, stability, and long-standing tradition. Through just a few pages, Anne reminded everyone of the monarchy's priorities. Order must come before appearance. Clarity must come before confusion. Duty must come before personal comfort. Her message strongly resonated with those who understood the importance of these values. It quietly signaled that the monarchy's future should be guided not by personal ambition, but by careful and principled leadership. Now, as the palace slowly adjusts and the tension begins to settle, one question remains. Camilla's role in the next chapter of the monarchy may not simply become smaller. It could change completely. Will she slowly step into a more ceremonial role, remaining in the background? Or could another unexpected development reshape her place within the royal family? A turning point for the royal family. It may finally be over. The royal family has faced many scandals over the years, but this situation was different. This time, the tension did not come from tabloids, outsiders, or public opinion. It came from within the palace itself. After the clash between Anne and Camilla, a quiet but clear shift began to take shape. The palace atmosphere changed, signaling the beginning of a new era centered on William and Catherine. What was once only whispered behind palace doors has now become clear. William's future coronation, once seen as a simple continuation of centuries of tradition, now carries deeper meaning. It is no longer only about placing a crown on a new monarch. It represents the return of a vision built on discipline, earned respect, and careful service. Every step of the preparations reflects a monarchy that values purpose more than spectacle. Camilla, who was once expected to shape the look and tone of the new reign, now stands on the edge of these plans. Her role has become mostly ceremonial. She will appear in public duties, but she will not guide decisions or strategy. Meanwhile, Anne remains close to William as a steady advisor behind the throne. Catherine has also stepped forward with greater presence and purpose. Together, William, Catherine, and Anne are guiding the monarchy with renewed focus, restoring public trust and shaping a future built on duty, responsibility, and thoughtful change.